One of the main things that I love about my plants is that they bring me a sense of tranquility when all around me there is chaos. When the kids are rampaging around the house or Mrs. Sheffield is telling me off for forgetting to use the tray when repotting, I can simply zone in on this Kentia palm, for example, and forget about everything around me. This is one of a few plants in particular that I recommend adding to your collection if you're looking for that peaceful vibe in your home. So why does the Kentia palm bring me this feeling of zen? She's beautiful, no doubt about it, but it's not just that. I guess it's the free-flowing, almost carefree look that she has going on. The leaves are large and floppy, protruding from the soil in a graceful elegance, and when the doors are open and a fresh breeze comes in, the feathery flow of the leaves transports me to a sunny resort near a Mediterranean coast. The Kentia palm is pretty new to me, and I highly recommend investing in a large specimen like this to really bring some drama to a corner of your living room. If you're short on space, then closely related is the parlour palm, which is just as elegant but a lot smaller. Keep them out of direct sun and try to keep the soil evenly moist. Those leaves are sensitive and will burn if suddenly found up against a sunny window, and constantly letting the soil dry out will lead to brown crispy leaves. Other than that, I find them pretty easy to look after. They look fantastic in living rooms and hallways as more of a showstopper plant, and choose a stoneware pot to really show it off. We're going a bit smaller now, but with that same free-flowing look that I really love. The spider plant is incredibly popular. You'll be able to find one in pretty much every plant shop out there, and for good reason. They have a lovely charm about them, don't they? Now I will caveat this by saying that it can be tricky to keep looking in tip-top shape, but when you do, they'll bring a peaceful elegance that you'll love. What I love about them is how much they change over the years of owning one. There's always something new to keep me engaged. One day your plant looks relatively simple like this, and the next she'll have a ton of babies suspended from her in the air. In fact, this one is indeed the offspring of this mother, and the twist here, and part of the reason I think this one is so blemish free, is that she is living in semi-hydro. That consistent access to water in the pot means the leaves are not drying out and turning brown and crispy. Spider plants look great on any shelf cabinet where the babies are allowed to flow down, and I think unusual shaped pots work well with the floppy leaves. I never really talk about this plant much on the channel, which I do think is a crying shame because I just love her trailing vibe. I've perched this purple Pelida on top of this bamboo shelving unit, and I could look at how she cascades down all day long. The thing that sets her apart from her peers is her unusual tones. There aren't many indoor plants that come in this pastel purple colour, and it really does bring a calming energy to the house. I tend to find Tradescantias hard work. They often go bald, and the longer the stem grows, the less leaves they tend to have. But this doesn't seem to be happening to this purple Pelida. To keep a compact look, you can simply prune them back and new shoots will appear in a couple of weeks, or you can just leave them to do their thing like I have, and they really will fill in a space. They're not fussy about watering at all, which is great. They're very forgiving of the forgetful waterer, but they do like a decent amount of light. Put them in low light, and the stems will start to stretch with less and less leaves. They'll look best on a high shelf where they can trail down effortlessly, and I've got mine in a bright pot to contrast the pastel leaves and stems. Let's go for something a little more sculptural now, something that will easily complement any home decor you have. I've got a few jade plants dotted around my home, and I love how the rounded leaves give off a soothing vibe, but in the same family we have this. This is a Golem Jade, which admittedly doesn't have the name to instill tranquility, but the elegance of the plant definitely does it for me. I love caring for this plant. I often find myself caressing the smooth, firm leaves, marvelling at how funky it looks. This plant is a reminder that slow and steady wins the race. He hasn't demanded much from me since I got him a couple of years ago, not even a repot, and that makes him ideal as the perfect low maintenance plant. To get the best out of them, you'll pop them in a nice sunny spot and water when the leaves start to feel less plump. They'll complement any shelf in your home and look fantastic in glazed ceramic pots with blue tones. Nothing brings a sense of calm to your home more than a plant hanging from the ceiling. I've got 3 set up in my home, and ideally I'd have more, but I just need to get approval first. First, I've got 2 lipstick plants, which kind of revealed the right way and the wrong way to do this. This one is in a nice macrame hanger and looks lush, whereas this one is still in the plastic pot he was living in when I got him. Clearly, he needs an upgrade. Another that I have set up rather nicely, if I do say so myself, is this guy, the Hoya Waitii. This setup is surprisingly easy to achieve. You just need a shelf bracket of some kind, a couple of screws, and a helping hand if the thought of using a drill alarms you. The beauty of this Hoya is the change in tones of the leaves. The more light you give, the more fiery the leaves become. This is why I've got a Scentsy grow light shining over her. Not the most elegant, but worth it in my book. I've gone for a dark, relatively plain pot so that nothing is taken away from the colour of the leaves. If I'm bored, I often come over to check her out and I feel like I get a little boost. It took me ages to get into orchids, but now I'm obsessed. On an evening, I often find myself watching this orchid instead of what's going on in this week's episode of The Last of Us, particularly during the scary bits. Orchid blooms last for months and they don't shout for attention. They just sit there looking effortlessly beautiful. Perfect for a bedside table, a bathroom shelf, or anywhere where you want to feel like you've got your life together, even if you definitely don't. The beauty of orchids is that they come in quite an incredible number of colours, so they will complement any decor scheme that you have. My personal favourite is one with white leaves. They almost look like a ballerina dancing from the pot. Don't chuck them out when the flowers do fade. Pop them somewhere nice and bright so the leaves can recharge their batteries, and then, in a couple of months, a fresh batch of flowers will show themselves. In fact, when you do start to see the new flower spikes start to emerge, you'll be filled with an enormous sense of pride that you've successfully got yours to bloom again. I generally like choosing bold coloured pots to contrast the green leaves, but for this white one I've gone for grey to not distract from the delicate flowers. This guy is my money tree, and while I can't say he's made me rich, he has brought a certain calm to the corner of my living room where he lives. I bought him when he was just a wee lad, and now look at him. Taller, fuller, and honestly due a better pot. He's still in the plastic one because it's the only one that fits, which is a bit of a disgrace considering how good he's been to me. There's something about the braided trunk and the opened hand-like leaves that gives him a peaceful presence. I find him incredibly low maintenance. I give him a drink when the top few inches of soil are dry, and he doesn't seem to hold a grudge if I forget now and then. Bright indirect light is his happy place. Nothing too intense or the leaves might yellow, but too little and he'll sulk and start dropping them. If you're looking to make a chill statement in your living room, I really do recommend a larger specimen like this. Just, learn from my mistakes and actually pot him up nicely when he earns it. I think he'd look amazing in a deep green or matte black ceramic pot on this plant stand, something to really show off that trunk. This little beauty up here is my Philodendron scandens, and she's just starting to trail down from the high shelf above my TV. It's one of those plants that sort of sneaks up on you. One minute she's sitting there all neat and compact, and the next she's cascading down like a leafy waterfall. Every time I sit down to watch something, I find my eyes drifting up to check how far she's grown. The heart-shaped leaves are just gorgeous. There's something so soft and comforting about them. No drama, no fuss, just calm, steady growth. I've got mine in a blue ceramic pot with a bit of a funky texture, and I love how it contrasts against the rich green leaves. It gives it a little character without being too loud. Care-wise, she doesn't ask for much. I give her a drink when the top 2 inches of soil dries out, and she's in a bit of a low light spot, which is why I've got this Scentsy grow light close by. If you want a plant that quietly fills out a space and adds a gentle sense of movement to your home, the Philodendron scandens is such a good choice. I'll be honest, this next chappie is not the easiest housemate, but I am a sucker for beauty, so I've got 2 to contend with. They can be a bit fussy, a bit dramatic, and they definitely let me know when something's not quite right, but when they're happy, they are so worth the effort. Those deep green, velvety leaves with their striking white veins. Mwah! I love it. I'm growing one in pot at the moment too, because I've heard it's the best thing since sliced bread for them, and I've got to say it seems to be working. The roots seem much healthier, and the usual sulking I used to get has really calmed down. I still keep a close eye on them though. Fried eggs are not shy about dropping a leaf just to keep you humble. They're both in grey ceramic pots, and while they do look lovely, I'll admit the consoles are a bit cramped. In an ideal world, they'd each have more breathing room, but unfortunately for them, I've got too many plants and not enough tables. So if you're after a statement plant that feels luxurious and gives back what you put in, a fried egg might be your guy. Just be ready for a bit of a diva. There's one plant in my dining room that always gets attention. Whether it's friends visiting or just me sitting down for a cup of tea, it's the one I find myself staring at longer than I probably should. She lives in this rather funky green ceramic pot that Mrs. Sheffield picked up right in the middle of the dining table, and honestly, she steals the show. Her leaves are this rich, deep purple that shift and flutter every time I walk past. And then, as if that wasn't magical enough, she moves. Yeah, her leaves actually open and close depending on the time of day. Morning comes and she stretches wide to greet the light, then at night she folds up like she's gone off to sleep. If you haven't guessed already, this is my Oxalis triangularis, or purple shamrock. She adds a lovely sense of movement and softness to the space, and something about the way she follows the light makes me feel very much alive. There are a few things you need to get right to achieve this look, and luckily for you I've got a video dedicated to her care that you can check out by clicking on the video here.